Hallo, guten Abend, herzlich willkommen zum IOTA Experience Wochenende. Und ich habe neben mir den Felix von IOTA Shop. Ich glaube, ich brauche ihn ja gar nicht vorstellen. Dem haben wir das alles hier zu verdanken, seiner Initiative und natürlich auch vielen anderen Mithelfern. Also vielleicht mal einen kurzen Applaus und Dankeschön für Felix. Super. Natürlich auch euch allen herzlichen Dank fürs Kommen und dass ihr den Weg nach Berlin auf euch genommen habt. Und wir freuen uns sehr, dass endlich mal wieder ein Meetup, ein Stammtisch jetzt mal so in Persona stattfinden kann. Und wir sind gespannt, was das Wochenende so bringen wird. Ich bin Regine Haschka-Helmer, für die, die mich nicht kennen. Ich habe angefangen bei IOTA im Advisory Board, bin dann direkt rein und habe mit Holger gemeinsam das Market Adoption Team aufgebaut. Bin nun wieder raus aus der Foundation und bin wieder im Advisory Board gelandet, um jetzt ein neues Abenteuer zu starten, Spice 5. Da werden wir auch gleich noch viel mehr hören, auch von Holger. Und ja, aber bevor wir jetzt richtig einsteigen ins Programm, wir haben tolle Gäste heute Abend und es wird richtig spannend und interessant auch, was ich vorher schon gehört habe, an Projekten auch präsentiert wird. Möchte ich dennoch kurz mal bitten, den Conny hierher, denn er hat es ermöglicht, dass wir in dieser fantastischen Location heute sein dürfen, in dieser wirklich super Designer-Location. Komm her, Conny. Conny ist von Porsche Digital und ja, also herzlichen Dank, dass wir hier sein dürfen, Conny. Und du möchtest ja auch noch ein bisschen was erzählen zu Porsche Digital, oder? Dann übergebe ich jetzt mal an dich.
Cool, danke. Ja, Konstantin Müller mein Name, ich bin bei der Porsche Digital. Ich bin Softwareentwickler, falls es jemanden interessiert. Ich habe euch 3 Dinge mitgebracht. Das erste ist ein Formular. Wir machen heute Fotos und würden das gerne auch auf LinkedIn und ähnlichen Kanälen posten. Deswegen bitte ausfüllen. Die liegen alle auf dem Tisch da vorne. Wer es nicht möchte, nimmt sich so einen roten Sticker und bringt den irgendwie, ja, Stirn muss nicht immer sein, aber irgendwo sichtbar an. Und ansonsten habe ich euch eine kleine Präsentation mitgebracht, Soul Digitalized. Das ist das, was wir machen. Warum wir eigentlich existieren. So, schnell, zack. Genau. Wir haben schon den Anspruch, dass wir bei Porsche sehr viele Prozesse digitalisieren, Prozesse an sich, aber auch Dinge vorantreiben. Das heißt, wir kümmern uns nicht nur in der Herstellung von Autos irgendwie darum, dass Prozesse halt schlanker, effizienter sind, sondern wir spielen auch ein bisschen rum. In den wesentlichen Bereichen, die sind auch nochmal hinten aufgeführt. Früher war das IoT ganz viel. Inzwischen haben wir es sein gelassen, weil wir denken, dass das Porsche inzwischen selber sehr gut vorantreibt. Für uns ist natürlich der AI-Bereich immer noch sehr interessant. Wir beschäftigen uns mit Quantencomputing und dann auch noch Blockchain. Sorry. Wie sieht Porsche Digital aus? Wir haben inzwischen 250 Leute bei uns. Und wir sind an verschiedenen Locations. Wir haben 2 in US, 2 in Deutschland. Wir haben in Barcelona, in Zagreb neulich die Headquarters aufgemacht. Jüngstes Kind ist Tel Aviv. Und ansonsten sind wir auf dem asiatischen Markt in Beijing und Shanghai vertreten. Wir versuchen über die Grenzen hinweg zu agieren. Leider ist das rechtlich nicht immer so einfach. Nochmal, die Locations sehen toll aus, ja. Our purpose is to create value and spark excitement through digital engineering. Das ist das, wofür wir stehen. Es ist nicht nur Digital Engineering, was wir machen hier. Natürlich, für mich als Softwareentwickler ist das Nonplusultra, aber Porsche Digital ist sehr divers und wir haben schon sehr viele Bereiche, die wir abdecken. Auf der einen Seite Customer Solutions, da gucken wir uns um, was sind so die New Business Modelle in der Zukunft sind, wo wir investieren können. Dann haben wir Mobility Solutions, wo wir natürlich im Fahrzeug unterwegs sind, Daten analysieren und Deep Tech ist auch das Chapter, wo ich rumhänge. Das heißt, da beschäftigen wir uns wirklich mit den, ich sag mal, Problemen, die vielleicht aufkommen werden, wie zum Beispiel mit Quantencomputing oder ähnliches, wo es dann auch heißt, was heißt das für uns, wenn wir jetzt ein Auto mit einem iPhone aufmachen können und dann die Algorithmen gar nicht mehr sicher sind. Das heißt, wir müssen uns auch mit diesen Dingen beschäftigen. Das ist so die Scouting-Area für uns. Und ansonsten mit dem Digital Ecosystem, Beyond the Frontiers. Wir haben halt mit Axel Springer ein Joint Venture als IPX und ansonsten haben wir Porsche Ventures, die in Companies investiert und Forward 31 ist auch ein Accelerator von uns, der dort agiert. Ja, das habe ich schon ein bisschen angesprochen. Blockchain, Artificial Intelligence, how we do that ist vielleicht. Wir haben auch natürlich unsere Principles beim täglichen Arbeiten, auf die wir sehr viel Wert legen, auch während des Arbeitstages. Für euch vielleicht wichtig ist, wie treiben wir Innovationen vorwärts? Und zwar ist es bei uns immer in Zyklen unterteilt. Wir haben halt so eine kleine Problem-Fit-Innovation-Phase von einem Monat. In den nächsten 3 Monaten versuchen wir herauszufinden, sind wir in der Lage, das Ganze zu lösen? Gibt es schon eine Lösung auf dem Markt? Sollen wir vielleicht irgendwie investieren oder ein Joint Venture machen? Und ansonsten versuchen wir in den nächsten 6 bis 12 Monaten diese Technologie anzuwenden, um das Problem wirklich zu lösen, daraus halt ein Produkt zu generieren und das Ganze auch am Ende des Tages zu externalisieren. Das heißt, wir sind nicht nur in der Porsche AG unterwegs, sondern machen auch Produkte für den freien Markt am Ende des Tages. Wie wir das Ganze machen, wir sind in Portfolios unterteilt, das heißt, wir haben so ein Innovation, New Business, Digital Products, Mobility Solutions, Vehicle and Data und Company Building Portfolio. Und das ist auch sozusagen, wie wir uns versuchen zu organisieren. Wie versuchen wir uns da aufzustellen? Wir haben halt auf der anderen Seite die Chapter. Das ist einmal People and Culture. Für diejenigen, die das nicht einordnen können, das ist unser ganzes HR-Chapter, die sich liebevoll um uns kümmern, aber auch die Scrum Master oder die Release Train Engineers hängen alle bei People and Culture. User Experience, alles was in den UI/UX-Bereich reingeht, Software Engineering und Deep Tech haben wir ein großes Chapter, wo die Kollegen zusammenarbeiten. Das heißt, ich arbeite genauso gerne mit einem Software Engineer zusammen wie mit einem Data Scientist oder ähnliches, weil wir für uns entdeckt haben, dass crossfunktionale Teams, die wirklich gut aufgestellt sind, die härtesten Probleme knacken können. Ja? Marketing and Growth, Communications und Business Development und Partnering sind die beiden anderen Chapter. Und das ist so als Matrix-Organisation zu verstehen. So, damit würde ich auch übergeben. Das war ein kleiner Pitch von uns und falls Fragen sind, stehe ich gerne für Fragen zur Verfügung oder die anderen Kollegen genauso. Vielen Dank, schönen Tag, viel Spaß.
Vielen Dank. So, jetzt freue ich mich natürlich ganz besonders, meinen Co-Founder-Kollegen anzukündigen, Holger Köther von Spice5 jetzt. Genau. Holger wird jetzt einiges erzählen zum Thema IOTA, Shimmer und Spice5 natürlich auch, damit ihr auch wisst, was wir jetzt in der Zukunft so machen werden. Und Holger, hast du deine Präsentation schon am Start?
Ja, ich weiß nicht, ob das Mikro funktioniert. Ah, sehr gut, sehr gut. Ja, ich kann kurz zu mir was erzählen. Mein Name ist Holger Köther, ich komme mehr aus dem bayerischen Raum. Ich habe generell einen Hintergrund in der Konzern-IT. Ich war 10 Jahre bei Siemens, war dort in verschiedenen Consulting-, Projektmanagement-Rollen etc. Ah, jetzt passiert was. Ja. Ja. Doch eine Maus. Und bin dann von Siemens zu Athos gegangen. Da gab es einen großen Betriebsübergang, wo die ganze IT von Siemens rausgegangen ist. Habe dann dort ein paar globale Managed Services geleitet. Also Athos ist ein bekannter IT-Dienstleister, so 120.000 Leute ungefähr weltweit, haben die ganze IT von Siemens übernommen und die war die letzten 2 Jahre im Telefonica-Account, das ist dieser große O2 Tower in München, wenn ihr den schon mal gesehen habt. und habe dann dort als CTO im Endeffekt bei der Konsolidierung geholfen, weil kurz vorher Telefonica E+ gekauft hat, wer sich noch daran erinnert. Und da musste einiges zusammengelegt werden. Ja, und die letzten 4 Jahre war ich bei der IOTA Stiftung, habe das Market Adoption Team initial mit aufgebaut. Damals hieß es noch Partnerships. Und nach einem Jahr kam dann ungefähr auch Regine mit dazu. Und haben uns das immer ganz gut geteilt, dass wir so, ich ja den operativen Teil, Regine ja den strategischen Teil übernommen hatten. Und haben dann im Endeffekt das Market Adoption Team von 5 auf ungefähr 40 Personen hochskaliert, haben dann dort Projekte, Proof of Concepts gemacht mit den Firmen. Und uns war es halt immer wichtig, wirklich mit den Firmen zusammenzuarbeiten, um zu zeigen, wie man Blockchain auch in der realen Welt auch mit einsetzen kann, weil Krypto ist natürlich das eine oder DeFi. Ja, das ist sicherlich auch interessant im ganzen Web3-Kontext. Man sagt ja auch, DeFi ist die erste Killer-App für das Web3, ne, also wo sich im Endeffekt anfängt, so ein Finanzzentrum zu bilden, über die Tokenströme, Lending etc. alles mit abgewickelt werden kann. Aber dass sich also in der Historie der Menschheit auch immer gezeigt hat, dass sich halt um Finanzzentren oder wo es halt auch viele Ressourcen gibt, da fangen sich an, dann auch Personengruppen zu gruppieren und dann auch was zu schaffen. Na, und das ist ja gerade, was auch beim Web3 gerade so mitschwingt, dass man sagt, es geht jetzt mit DeFi los, NFT-Hype haben wir alle erlebt über die letzten Monate, aber dass jetzt noch ein bisschen mehr Substanz kommt. Ja, und auch NFTs, klar, es gibt die Profile-Bilder, aber eigentlich sind NFTs ja eher eine Utility oder eine, wie sagt man, Methodology, wenn man Deutsch-Englisch redet, aber im Endeffekt ein Mittel zum Zweck, um zu sagen, ich habe halt ein eindeutiges digitales Gut und an dieses Gut kann ich dann verschiedene Use Cases auch wieder ranknüpfen. Und die Profilbilder, klar, das ist eine Sache, aber es gibt noch viel mehr Sachen. Also man kann es auch im Trade-and-Logistik-Bereich einsetzen, dass beispielsweise die Rechnung ein NFT ist, ne, und dann kann man darüber dokumentieren, wenn eine Rechnung oder so eine Bill of Lading von einem Partner zum anderen geht, dass im Endeffekt dann darüber auch dieser Verantwortungsübergang stattfindet oder dass dann auch dieser Übergang für die Versicherung beispielsweise auch mit dokumentiert ist. Ja, und dann haben wir alle Tokenisierung, ist auch gerade in aller Munde, Tokenisierung von Häusern, von Gemälden, DAOs wollen sich mit einkaufen und von daher, ich denke, das ist noch ganz spannend, was da auf uns zukommt und momentan stecken aber alle noch so ein bisschen im Inventors Dilemma fest. Da prescht der Kryptobereich vielleicht ein bisschen schneller nach vorne und die Unternehmen tun sich noch ein bisschen schwerer. Das können die Kollegen von Porsche Digital vielleicht dann auch mit bestätigen, die schon Blockchain-Projekte gemacht haben. Ja. Weil halt momentan sehr, sehr viel, also jetzt findet wieder eine Umorientierung statt Richtung der öffentlichen Chains, aber wenn man so Situation vor 4 Jahren anschaut, da hat jeder so ein bisschen innoviert, ne, hat auf Ethereum angefangen zu innovieren, einfach weil Ethereum so als First Mover für Smart Contracts einfach schon viel Utility gebracht hat, wo man sagen konnte, jetzt kann man sich mal Blockchain angucken, was kann das Ding eigentlich, was kann es nicht, und dann haben alle Innovationszentren angefangen, Blockchain-Abteilungen aufzubauen oder sich die Technologie mit anzuschauen. Ja, und dann wurde so gemerkt, ja, das skaliert wohl doch nicht so ganz, wie wir es brauchen. Und das war dann auch oft der Teil, wo wir mit den Firmen zusammengearbeitet haben, weil die IOTA halt ein anderes Konzept hat und die IOTA darauf ausgelegt ist, ne, damals war es noch nicht so und die Technologie hat auch Fortschritte gemacht, aber im Endeffekt darauf ausgelegt ist, wirklich hoch zu skalieren. Also wirklich als eine Blockchain oder Distributed Ledger Technologie diese ganzen Nachteile der Blockchain außen vor zu lassen, aber die Vorteile, eben Datenintegrität, ne, schneller Tokenaustausch etc., hohe Skalierbarkeit, das alles mit zu übernehmen. Und dann war es ganz interessant, weil so die letzten 3 Jahre haben dann viele Firmen angefangen, Konsortien zu bilden, weil sie gemerkt haben, ja, was mit den öffentlichen Blockchains, das funktioniert doch nicht ganz so gut, auch weil die regulatorischen Aspekte immer noch sehr, sehr unklar waren. Also jeder hat ein bisschen Angst gehabt, so mit einem Bein noch im Gefängnis zu stehen. Welche Daten darf man denn auf eine Blockchain speichern? Wem gehören denn die Daten? Dem, der sie schreibt, der den Server betreibt, über der sie erhebt, ne? Für den sie gut sind, gehören sie jedem, gehören sie keinem. Ne? Und so langsam ändert sich das ein bisschen, weil die Regulatorik in Europa auch langsam, muss man sagen, in die Puschen kommt. Aber deswegen haben sich alle Unternehmen angefangen, in Konsortium-Blockchains zu organisieren. Ne? Und das war dann so die Zeit von Hyperledger. Man sieht, jeder arbeitet mit Hyperledger. Und die sind aber alle im Endeffekt in Konsortien organisiert. Und das Problem ist aber, so ein Konsortium kannst du jetzt auch nicht beliebig groß machen. Na, da hast du dann 15, 20, 30 Partner drin, einfach weil die Technologie dann auch nicht besonders gut skaliert. Und deswegen schauen sich jetzt die Firmen gerade wieder an, wie man im Endeffekt in die großen Permissionless-Systeme reingehen kann. Das hatten sie sich vorher auch schon angeschaut, aber haben dann halt gemerkt, dass sie doch nicht die Marktmacht von Amazon haben, um dann ihre, was ich, Daimler-Chain oder irgendwas damit zu etablieren und die dann auch im Markt mit durchzusetzen. Na, und jetzt geht es langsam wieder Richtung Permissionless, deswegen denke ich, wir sind auch mit IOTA gerade in einem ganz guten Zeitpunkt mit den Neuentwicklungen, die rausgekommen sind, dass wir zeigen können, wir können ein hochskalierbares Netzwerk bauen, wir haben eine schnelle Finalität. Funktioniert das? Wo stehen wir? Ja, sehr gut. Wie viel Zeit habe ich? Ja. Ja, und jedenfalls bringen wir jetzt Shimmer raus. Den Shimmer-Launch habt ihr wahrscheinlich alle mitbekommen. Wer hat Shimmer-Tokens hier? Hey! Wer nicht? Genau, wer nicht? Und ich denke, es waren noch alle ganz begeistert vom Start, ne, wie es kräftig nach oben gegangen ist. Einmal richtig Krypto erleben, nicht so wie der IOTA-Token die letzten Jahre da immer ohne Utility war. Und das war so ein großer Punkt halt auch für Shimmer, dass wir gesagt haben, wir bauen das Netzwerk weiter aus. Wir machen im Endeffekt Tabula Rasa mit allem, was so der IOTA-Tech vorher war, was auch von CFB etc. dort gekommen ist. Und da hat das Engineering-Team mal vor 2 Jahren angefangen, wirklich alles komplett dort auch mit neu zu schreiben. Und das war dann der Zeitpunkt, wo wir Chrysalis rausgebracht haben, wirklich so als die Grundlage, um das ganze alte Zeug mal wegzuwerfen. Na, und jetzt, wo die nächste Iteration gekommen ist, mit Shimmer, wo wir uns überlegt haben, wie kann man auch den Token des Netzwerkes stärker involvieren. Ah, Charlie is also here. Hey. So, do I need to switch to English? Should I? let me switch to English. So, and then we brought out or we concepted Shimmer. So to really think about how can we utilize the token aspect a lot better, but we didn't want to do it the same way like all the other blockchains are doing it, to say, yeah, you have to pay a fee, because one of the big USPs for IOTA was always that it's feeless. And then we thought, okay, but how could we utilize still the token? And then we thought we can do storage deposits. So you still have to lock a little bit of your IOTA tokens when you want to save data permanently on the ledger or on the blockchain, on the Tangle, but you will also get it back. And through this mechanism, we can enable the microtransactions, and we can also incentivize the use of the token, so that people or users then also should buy the token, which should create more demand, and then of course it also should have an effect on the price at one point. And so we concepted Shimmer with a lot of new features, with NFTs which can own other NFTs, NFTs which can act as wallets. They can even hold the keys to whole smart contract systems, I heard from Dave. So it's going to be quite amazing, all the features which are going to be possible on Shimmer. And when we combine this essentially with a highly scalable network, with a parallel execution, with a smart contract execution engine as well, so we are going to be Ethereum virtual machine compatible. I don't know when it's coming out, soon probably, but I don't think it's so far down the road. And then all the large applications can also start to build on Shimmer. So Tangle-C, which has a ton of cool new features, Deeper Finance, what's his name from Cappy? Rob, yes, yeah, Rob, yeah. What Rob is concepting. And TangleSwap, the TangleSwap guys, they also have something quite special planned, which is nice. But so we're going to have a lot of DeFi applications. And the nice thing is that the people in these DeFi applications, they know it inside out. So I know from people who got up at 4 a.m. in the night because then a new DEX was launching in the US on Ethereum. And only in the first hours you get an APR, so a annual return of 20,000%, but only in the very first hour. So they're really deeply into DeFi, and they thought about what could we do better, which other platforms simply do not have. And then they wrapped their head around it. They were IOTA fans, and then they started to concept the next generation of DEXs, lending platforms, and so on. Ja, das ist egal. Das ist egal. All right. So, normally my laptop looks Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's a Lumi. Yeah. And okay, now it's a little bit like thrown off, but we're just going to improvise. Essentially, over the last years with the foundation, we were like very much focused on the different industry use cases, but then we also saw that the industry needs like a different approach because they take like a little bit longer. And then at one point, like I don't know, 3/4 of a year, like a year ago, we made the decision at the foundation to do like a strategic reorganization, and that the foundation should concentrate a lot more on the R&D part, so research and development of the core protocol, and that we are going to spin off some of the other functionalities. And Regina and I, with market adoption, we always worked like very closely together with the companies, and then we said, when we are working with the companies, it always works, like with the implementation which we can provide to them, with the skills, the know-how, how to implement IOTA, this always works. And then when we are like out, and the innovation department should continue on themselves, then they are struggling again with it. And this was then also the point for us to say, why don't we go out, we create a spin-off of the foundation, and we create like a platform where we can help those companies to utilize their existing know-how so that they don't need to hire like expensive crypto developers or smart contract developers and so on. And why don't we make it like as easy as possible for them? And this was then the inception of Spice. And this and many people are like also wondering why the foundation has like pivoted, like, you did like IoT before and now you're doing Web3 and crypto and so on. But you can see it here, no? I don't know if I can read it, it's a bit like pixely, but the requirements between IoT and Web3, they are actually very similar, no? Because you have a lot of users, they all need to share assets. You need like a frictionless transfer between all of those assets. It should happen like in real time. So you need some sort of like instant settlement. And you have exactly the same with IoT devices. When IoT devices want to communicate with each other, like in a machine economy, for example. No? And so it's not like, despite like IoT and Web3, they might sound like very far apart. From a requirements point of view, they are actually not so far apart. And this was then when we said, okay, let's go in the direction of R&D and let's enable like more crypto. Yeah, and at the moment with Shimmer, like we are here, so we launched the public testnet some weeks ago, then we launched the Shimmer mainnet, when was it, like 2 weeks ago? Like, yeah, last week. Time passes so fast. And now then we have the Shimmer EVM chain, which is like in its, I would say, starting shoes to be then also launched over the coming time, but it's like very near. And then we can also like position Shimmer really as a multi-chain network because we have this high scalability and we can utilize like other chains and like tap into other chains that they can also like share the status of token transfers and so on directly through Shimmer. And the big advantage of doing this through Shimmer is that you can like tie very like natively into the Shimmer network, and the Shimmer network doesn't require like any more bridges when something is happening in the Shimmer network. So when you think of Ethereum and you have like different smart contract chains on Ethereum, it's like very hard that these smart contract chains talk to each other. Normally, then you need a bridge. So a bridge is like nothing else than an application which is a leg in both systems, and essentially you send your tokens into one of those legs, and then you have to hope that the bridge provider doesn't have a bug in his code or that he doesn't run away with the funds, because essentially you are locking up your funds with the bridge provider. And then the bridge provider is like issuing you tokens in the other network. And with Shimmer, we don't have this. So with Shimmer, we have something what is called native composability, which like means that whenever you send something into Shimmer, it gets like locked directly on the ledger, and that those smart contract systems, they can interact directly on the Shimmer network themselves. So they don't require like a bridge, a separate bridge to talk to each other. And when I have my, let's say the Holger coin, and I don't know, Spike has the Spike coin, then in Spike's decentralized exchange knows how to work with the Holger coin, he can directly do this. He doesn't need a bridge in any way. Yeah, we need to like wrap it up a bit. So I really hope we can see this. Yeah. So with Spice, With Shimmer, we have the hype, and with Spice, we said we want to build beyond the hype. And what we're going to do with Spice, or what was the inception of Spice, was that there's still like a need for companies to work with data. We are living in like an automated world. Everything is becoming more automated. We talk to Alexa and so on. And so like a frictionless transfer of data between two companies or like even more companies is like absolutely essential to start automating more. And if you think back of the history of mankind, there was like always one essential driver in order to boost like the economics and to bring us more forward as a, how to say, as a people. And this driver was always automation. And you saw this like in the early stages when people were like plowing the fields. You saw it during the Industrial Revolution. You saw it during the cloud movement like 20 years ago. So automation, 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 because automation enables us things which were before handled like in a very like manual way to be handled in an automated way and then like as a commodity. So when you are like a developer, for example, previously you developed like a lot of code yourself and then you had like frameworks on top of it like Flutter and so on, which you're using nowadays, and it's like as easy as possible to develop something on Flutter. And with Spice, we are seeing the same. So we are seeing that companies they want to collaborate with each other. They need to share this data. And the blockchain is essentially a huge automation engine. It's a global data backbone which is always available. And imagine this, it cannot go down. It's like almost instantly available and you can share data around the globe. And instead of building one-to-one connections between your partner companies, you can like tap into this automation engine and share the data there. And you can be sure that it's reliable, that it's like authenticated, that it's coming from the correct source. And you can make sure that the data is then trustworthy. And you can use this mechanism to out-task tasks which you did like before in your own house, which you needed to audit in a very expensive way and so on. And the same functionality is just taking over by another software construct, which is like reliable and which works in a guaranteed way. And we see that this is like a main driver for companies to really start sharing more data and interact a lot more natively, because it's much easier to connect yourself into this global data backbone than building 30 independent connections to other companies or to your partner companies. And when you rely on real-time data sharing, it's like absolutely essential that this is like happening in an automated way. And this is like also reflected, so the worldwide blockchain spending is going up like almost 70% per year, which is like absolutely crazy compared to like a lot of other sectors. And this is then where we said, why don't we help those companies with which we have like worked together? And we are going to create a platform for them, which is as easy as plug and play, to tap into the relevant functionalities which they need. And these are not like crypto or token use cases, but the companies are interested in digital identities, they're interested in secure data spaces, shared data spaces, also like a huge topic in Gaia X, for example. It's huge cloud program. So how can I create a data space which only I and my partners can access? How can I share a temporary key with them, temporary access? And how can I make sure that when we have like 20 persons writing into the channel, that the data coming into this channel is like absolutely secure and authenticated? And this is what we want to enable with Spice. And for this, we have like a very small, oh God, wait, let me see if this works. It's like always a bit delayed. So we have like a small demo prepared that we can show you what we are up to. So we're going to start with like, who has ever run an IOTA node? Let me ask this. Boy, yeah, here like 10 people. Who has not run an IOTA node? Like, why didn't you run one, for example? Lazy, complicated, and so on. So what we have created is a mechanism that everybody can run a node. So you can just go here, you can select which node you want. Sorry, this is like whenever I move something on the touchpad, it's like 3 seconds delayed. You can say, okay, you want a professional node, you can select if you want 1 or 2 or 3 or 10, how many you ever want. And then you order the node through the Spice portal, And here I ordered like already some nodes before. So it takes like a couple of minutes. And now all the rest of the node installation is just happening completely in the background. And we can take like a node which was like, so you wait 2 minutes and essentially then you click here on the dashboard. This one is offline. Classic. No, I think maybe it's the one which I just built. Or it's the demo. Yeah, it's the demo effect. And this is like also a demo effect because actually we were testing so much that we got rate limited by the certificate provider. But it's not. It's the beta version. Why is this like also off? Okay, I should have tested it like. Let's like take one which we are just creating. But essentially, it takes you directly to the dashboard of the node. And of course, this like worked like 5 minutes before I did it because I built all of these nodes. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know why they're now all appearing as offline or something is here up with the connection. But essentially, yeah, this is now the demo effect. But I will keep this like open, and when you all have like a beer, like we can see it at the laptop that it really works. Because we've been on this like for the past days, and it like really works like a charm. Well, not this time. But essentially you click, you install the node, and like 3 minutes later your node is completely up and running, and they can like connect with Firefly to it. It's like absolutely smooth experience, and this is the experience what we want to strive for with Spice. So to make it like as easy as possible, everybody can run a node. In the same way, everybody should be able to create digital identities, create tokens, mint NFTs, and like utilize all these like blockchain or like IOTA advantages as part of their industry use cases in which they are like working with. And we see like a huge potential there, and this is where we think like IOTA has like a really strong benefit compared to other technologies, and this is like why we are also like building on IOTA. Thanks.
Thank you, Holger, for doing the presentation of Spice. We believe that this really accelerates the adoption of IOTA. So we are working in the market adoption, but outside of the foundation, but still for the foundation and IOTA, of course, right? So next speaker, I'm happy to introduce to you Adri Wischmann. He's from Blockchain Lab Drenthe. And so I'm really excited about your presentation, Adri, because I've learned that you are working on 4 projects and you only have 12 people in your lab, and now you will tell us how you are managing that. And I also think these projects, what you are doing there, they are really amazing and projects we need in our time. And so please tell us a little bit more about it, and I would be happy if we could also do some kind of projects here in Germany, because I think that helps a lot. And
I hope to do so too. Shall I take this? Maybe in the meantime, we can also connect some of my automation. What I'm gonna try to do is show you IOTA technology in action. And we did a lot of different projects with IOTA, and I'll show them one by one. And at first, of course, only pilots. But should we use this or this one? This one. On. Also, we do a lot of projects for cities and a lot of projects for in European field. So while we hope to connect this, I'll just try to introduce me first. So Blockchain Lab Drenthe is a non-profit foundation. Founded 5-6 years ago by 3 IT entrepreneurs who didn't know anything about blockchain, right? We just came together in one of our buildings and gave each other homework. Next time you will explain what consensus is, and next time I will explain what proof of work does. And now 5-6 years later, there are 12 people, of which some of them are students from Bulgaria, from Germany, from all kinds of parts of the world, because we also lecture blockchain at our local University of Applied Sciences. So these students want to work on interesting projects. So what we have been doing the last 3 years is in a European context developing blockchain applications for Interreg project Bling, and Bling is blockchain in government. So there's an Interreg project where 14 partners of 6 countries in the North Sea region work together on developing blockchain projects for public services. And for instance, one of the partners is Gothenburg University, Edinburgh University, Antwerp, Ho West in Belgium, Oldenburg, here, Norden, but also from Holland we have the city of Groningen, the province of Drenthe, for which we work, the municipality of Emmen, and all kinds of other parties which partner up in this Interreg project Bling. And we've been engaged by 2 or 3 of these partners to develop, right? Because that's what we do. We said, let's stop talking about a blockchain, let's start building, right? Because everybody is talking in the future. In the future, we're gonna replace notaries. In the future, we're gonna trade peer-to-peer, etc. But what are we gonna do today or tomorrow? And we decided to do that. And do we have liftoff? Not yet. Okay, I'll have to do some more song and dance. We started building. And one of our first projects was self-sovereign attendancy, which I will hopefully show you in a moment. But what I think you know the most of is our EnergieKniep project. And EnergieKniep is an app where all the citizens of our city, we have liftoff. Okay, sure. Yes. Timing is everything. Okay, so my presentation is called IOTA Technology in Action. And I've been spending the last day translating everything in German, but we do it in English today. In action. Okay. In Holland, there's a province called Drenthe. That's why we call Blockchain Lab Drenthe, of course. And this province of Drenthe has commissioned us to do several projects. Like I said, Blockchain Lab Drenthe is a non-profit foundation, and we work for different kinds of partners in that project, Bling. What we do is we have several applications built on IOTA, based on IOTA technology, and I'm going to show you 4 of them. And they have scaled up a little, right? So you start with a pilot. Most real-world blockchain projects are no more than pilots. Even in Holland, we've got some pilots with only 100 users, 150 users. So the ideas are big, but the number of users are very small. We did the opposite. Our EnergieKniep has 9,000 active users. VitKniep has 1,000 users. Parks.EnergieKniep, which is deployed next week, has 20,000 users. Right? Our self-sovereign attendancy app has, at the moment, it's in pilot, more than 500 users, and they are available on the app stores, iOS and Android. This is EnergieKniep. I gave some, what a bad resolution. Okay, I gave some demos about that and some links to our YouTube channel where you can see some of it. This is a knip. A knip is a Dutch word for money purse. And it's because of the sound it makes when you open it. Knip, right? My grandmother had one. So we made an EnergieKniep. And EnergieKniep is an app for the municipality of Emmen. They came to us and said, we have a problem. We have this subsidy money for all houses in our community, which are nearly 49,000 houses. And we want to distribute that. Last year we did that with vouchers, a paper vouchers which say, hey, you can get 50 euros. But nobody used them. We send it out to every house, all those 49,000, and only about 1,000 were used, not even 1,000. So we sent out letters. I mean, one letter to 50,000 receivers is 20,000 euros, right? So we sent out 3 letters, another 60,000 euros, and nobody used them. Only a small amount of people. Can you, do you have an idea how we could change that? And by the way, we would like to know more what's going on in our community with the energy efficiency of houses. So we made an app for that. Is there an app for that? Yes. Now it is. So there's an app which asks 27 questions, and not very hard questions, right? Do you live in do you rent or do you own your house, right? Do you switch off the television or do you leave it on standby during the night? That kind of stuff. So in 3 minutes, you can answer all these 27 questions, and then you get 50 euros. Fast, right? If you would calculate that on an hourly basis, that would be very nice. So people answer these questions, get their coins, and that is a bit of a debate. So we don't call them coins, we call them points. And there's a reason for that. When you call it coins, people think Bitcoin? Yes. And if you call it points, people think of coffee. In Holland, we had this coffee brand where they had these points printed on the package, which you could then cut off and get a coffee maker for that. So points does have a very different association than coins, right? Which is a little bit more negative. And, well, the resolution is better. So that's a thing we did. We call it points. So you get 50 euros worth of points. And then you could go to a hardware store. We had 10 hardware stores in our city which wanted to work with us. And go there and collect, pay with your points for energy saving measures, like LED lighting and that kind of stuff, right? But it was earmarked money, zwecksgebunden Geld, so etwas. So people could only buy that, right? So they couldn't go to the grocery store and buy a beer and some lottery tickets. No, the money should only be spent on making your house more energy efficient. So that was the start. And it is circular money. And now I'm going to go to the next slide and pray that it all works. Not really. Not even with 3 seconds delay. Okay. And better resolution. Okay. So priorities in the design we made. Privacy was very important, right? So I think it's the same in Germany. As soon as you're talking about blockchains and distributed ledgers, etc., at least one person will stand up and scream privacy. So privacy was a very a very important topic, very hard topic also, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Security and user friendliness, because even people 90 years old should use this app, right? And when we're at the topic, the energy aspect of blockchain was, of course, when you do a sustainability app, right, to stimulate people to save energy, you cannot use Bitcoin, right? Because one transaction will use 22.4 days of electricity of an average household. So that was, of course, would have been a way to get in the papers, but not in the correct way. So the municipality said, okay, we want to put in money, but it has to stimulate the local economy. So not that I give you 50 euros and you go to Amazon, then the money goes somewhere else, or Zalando or whatever. No, we want the people to spend it in our municipality. And of course, the app had to look as sexy as possible. Now, in this case, I don't know if that succeeded, but it was our first app. Please keep that in mind. So, absolute anonymity, privacy by design. So, anonymity is a very hard thing to do, and the trick we did, so I'll show you when I have one with me, is we used a physical airdrop. You know how an airdrop works, right? And what we did was we did a physical airdrop. This card was distributed to every house in our city. 50,000 of these cards were made, and everyone has a unique QR code. That is the wallet you're activating. You have a wallet on your phone. Every QR code is different, right? I said privacy by design. Now, we couldn't send this by post, because then we would have a list of the addresses and the QR codes. So we couldn't send it by post. We couldn't email this. Then there would be a list with email addresses and a QR code. So this was distributed door to door. And we said to people, if you want to change with your neighbor before you activate, go ahead. Right? We don't know who has which QR code. So you can be pretty certain that we cannot track the answers back to the owner of the card. Right? So that's pretty tricky to use privacy. And the app never asks for names, street addresses, email addresses, phone numbers, nothing like that. We don't know who you are. And that made people a little bit relaxeder in answering questions. Now, this is how it works. There's the municipality of Emmen. Those are 50,000 houses, 49,575 to be precise. They all get a QR code, a wallet. That wallet can contain data and coins, points. The data is provided by the people living in the house. They get a few questions. Do you have solar panels? Do you have a heat pump, double glazing, blah, blah, blah. And by providing these answers, the data is sent back to the municipality of Emmen. The municipality of Emmen rewards you. I mean, people are used to providing data and getting nothing in return. Thank you, Mr. Zuckerberg. He will get rich, but you don't get anything. But here, we change that. You give the data to the municipality of Emmen, you receive your points. With these points, you go to these hardware stores. Yes, and the hardware stores sell you these packages with energy-saving measures for your points. You take the goods home. Now these coins are in the wallet of the retailer. The retailer sends these coins back to the municipality, where they have a pay me button in their app. I'll show it in a moment. And then there is this bot connecting the virtual world to the real world, and he sees every 1,000 points that go back to the municipality will give you €1 on your bank account. So the next day, the euros are in the bank account of the retailer. Pretty simple. Earmarked money. You can only spend it for a certain cause at these retailers, and they get paid. It's like a layer 2 solution on normal money. Normal money, right? Of course you have a question. Those are all households in Emmen. So there are people who are living there by themselves, but also father, mother, 3 children, etc. That's one of the questions. So we have 3 lists of questions in our app. The first, as soon as you activate your QR code, there's the privacy question, which is mandatory by law. Do you want to share your information with the municipality, yes or no? Even if you say no, you will get the money, by law. Right? The first question is, do you rent or own? And the second question is, with how many people? 1, 2, or 2 plus? Right? And then you get €5. Correct. You have 1 card per household, because they are distributed door to door, and every family member of that household can install. And they all look at the same questions, they see the same answers, they see the same balance. So if my if my son answered the questions, then I see the answers. If he goes to the hardware stores and spends the points, I don't have them anymore, because they're on the tangle, everybody has the same account. Check? Okay. So this is a closed loop, right? And you get rewarded in real euros. This money is used to incentivize these people to be more energy efficient. Now, the people understood that. I mean, I said, right, last year with these paper vouchers, only a small percentage was used in a period of 7 months. We started at January 11th, and 13 days later, 100% of the money was spent. Right? So instead of 7 months, it was 13 days. Now, the municipality of Emmen said that this is a very big success, so we'll double the money. And that second batch of money lasted 11 days. Right? So it started to buzz around. And that's also because we did a few tricks in the app. We put some gamification in, for instance. Right? What we did was we showed the balance of the municipality, how much money was left. And people saw that real time ticking down. Right? So, oh, that's a nice app, I'll just put it away. No, when 5 minutes later, you would see, oh, there's 1,000 less. I cannot wait 3 weeks to answer my question, because then the money is gone. Right? So there were some of these tricks we did to create a sense of urgency for people to work with it. Now, we call this a win-win-win-win situation. Right? So the residents get their €50, and they also get some information we put in the app about making your house more energy efficient. The municipality got data. They got 9,000 houses answering the questions. Right? So for future policy, that's very important. So they know where to take action. Now, the local economy, these shops got €300,000 more revenue. Right? So these guys were smiling to the bank. Right? And of course, the ecosystem for which we are making this all more energy efficient benefits, because IOTA hardly uses any electricity, and these people are installing LED lights, etc. So that's a win situation for that also. Like I said, we're using earmarked money, and that's always a bit to be or not to be kind of question, right? Because I know, let's put it mildly, there are some crypto anarchists who say, my money is my money, and nobody can know how much money I've got, and the government should stay away from my money, my coins, etc. So having earmarked money where you program what it can be used for is very, very strong. It's a very good instrument. And it's not your money that's being spent. What I'm doing is I'm offering you my wallet and say, okay, you can take out money as long as you use it to make your house more energy efficient. you can take that money, but only for that purpose, right? And on that, we built a lot more. So for the energy crisis which is going on, in Holland at least, and I think here also, lots of people are getting into financial problems, right? People who are living in a normal house suddenly get energy bills of 800 or 900 euros a month. Not everybody can pay that. So the government in Holland set aside a few hundred million of euros to distribute to these people who are drowning financially. And as of next week, so the EnergieKniep is being used to distribute 5 million euros to 20,000 families in the south of Holland. There is a region where these municipalities work together, and this 5 million is being distributed over the IOTA network. With IOTA technology, let me put it that way. So that's, like I said, another 20,000 families. But that's not the only thing we did. Being a Bling project and organizing meetups like this, Bling wanted to know how many people are here, because we're going to pay for the pizzas and the drinks, etc. But you can say there are 50 or there are 100 people. Show us the attendancy list. And I think you know, all people know this kind of attendancy list, right? Where I blurred out the actual names because they are in there. I just Googled attendancy list, right? And there is people from UNDP, a program officer, and you don't want to know. So I took out their email address and their name. This is what happens when you use attendancy lists. Right? This would be considered a data leak, a major one. This is the list from hell. We all love to hate these lists, and they are not GDPR proof. Right? You have these lists, you sign them off, somebody takes a picture, and all of the data is in the streets. Let me tell you, yesterday I was in Edinburgh at an EU conference, and even the EU is not EU GDPR proof. Right? So they are doing these sins themselves. So we, as Blockchain Labyrinth, said, eat your own dog food. We're going to make a blockchain solution for that. So we designed an app, which we called the Self-Sovereign Attendancy app, with which you can prove you were at a certain time at a certain event. Right? An organizer registers his event on the Tangle, and then he generates a secret in the form of a QR code, or we're working on that also, a Bluetooth signal. And then everybody in the room here present can either scan the QR code or listen to the Bluetooth signal and know that secret. If you're out of this room, you don't know that, right? So your phone now knows the secret and asks you, do you want to put this event in your wallet that you've been to the IOTA meetup? You say yes. And at that moment, your app will create a personal, a unique secret and send that to the Tangle for the organizer. Now the organizer can close the event, right? Pull the door so nobody can come in anymore. And at that moment, you, with your app, can generate a QR code like the COVID app and show it to somebody else to prove you were at this event, because you know the secret I only showed here. Yeah, we use zero knowledge proof for that, so you can share that information, prove you were here, without providing your identity, your name, etc. You can. The information of your identity will never leave your phone, only when you have consent to do that. Right? So it's called self-sovereign attendancy. You know self-sovereign identity, but this is a small part of it, and that's the app. Everybody can use it. Just find it in the stores to prevent these lists from hell. I have a little animation movie that we can start. Exactly at that moment, he was getting a drink, which explains some of it. get started. I do have audio. One moment. Go.
Sometimes attendees need to prove to verifiers that they attended an event, course or conference. For example, for accreditation of medical personnel, accountants, financial specialists, students, and everyone who must prove personal education points. Event organizers like to use attendance sheets or pictures to register attendancy. GDPR law makes these sheets hard to use. Blockchain Lab researched how to make registration GDPR proof. Is it possible to show tamper-free proof of attendancy? Can verifiers trust the attendee? Can verifiers be sure that the attendees listed were really at the event and worked out a solution? How our blockchain solution works. Decentralized, transparent, immutable, and cryptographically safe sharing of data on a need-to-know basis. Step 1. Event organizer, Isaac, registers an event on the blockchain and creates a unique event key. Step 2. A. The phone of the attendee, Harry, picks up the Bluetooth key at the event or the QR code for an online event. B. Generates a unique key. C. Uses it to access the blockchain. D. Register and store a certificate locally on Harry's phone. Step 3. The organizer closes the event to prevent misuse. Step 4. With the event wallet on his phone, Harry is able to verify 24/7 that he was present at a certain event, date, time, location, without revealing his identity details. Step 5. The verifier, Victor, can test the validity of event attendancy on the blockchain without having access to attendee Harry's identity details. A blockchain solution with maximum transparency while retaining maximum privacy.
As simple as that. And this is the third or the fourth, I missed the count, application we did for the municipality of Heerlen. They had vitality money, which is 200 euros a year that their employees can spend on themselves. Right? So every 3 months they get 50 euros through this vitality knip. And we did a few tricks in there. Programmable money, so to speak. So the municipality says, you get these 50 euros, but we want you to spend them. Do not hodl, right? So what we did is like a telephone subscription. You get something and you can take it into the next period, but that's it. And then it loses its validity. So you get 50 euros, the next quarter you get another 50 euros, but if you don't spend your money, you will not get any extra. So we top it up to 100. If you spend 30, you will get 30 extra. But if you don't use the money, you will not get any extra. So we stimulate people to spend it. Otherwise, they would save it until Christmas and buy something of 200 euros, but that's not the way it works for your employer. So this is conditional money, but also conditional in time, not only in where you spend it, but also in time. Now, this is what it looks like. It's a wallet, right? There is no Firefly in our case, because we don't want people to exit through an exchange and exchange it for euros, right? You have to spend it in the ecosystem. And it's the same app for the retailer, but this special QR code turns it in a PIN machine, so you can accept payments through a QR code. 1,000 users use that. And this is, I believe, my last slide. This is what we're working on. Soon, we will have a multi-knip where we have coins in the form of what they represent. So you could have minutes, parking minutes in your wallet, with which you can pay the parking of your car. You can have waste recycling kilos. Right? In the municipality where I live, you get 300 kilos you can bring to a place where they recycle. If you have more than 300 kilos, you have to pay. Well, this is where you have them in your wallet. And you can have anything. Right? In Holland, we did this experiment which called the blockchain baby. And The blockchain baby is a project where you would get maternity care in your wallet, so many hours, and if then the midwife would come to your house, you would pay them with hours. Right? So at the end of the day, she would get 2 hours of maternity care, and the next day she would have the money in her bank account. Right? Instead of putting it all on a piece of paper, sending it to the insurance, somebody has to check it, then 90 days later she gets paid, and if there is something wrong, you have to go back. It's just a wallet with hours. Right? And so you can put anything in a wallet. For instance, if you are on a really social minimum and you cannot pay for the soccer club of your child, the municipality can send directly into your wallet money which is only valid at the soccer club. Right? So it is a bit inspired by my grandmother. She had a wallet with money for groceries, money for clothing, money for holidays, etc. Now that's what we do, but we have money for an energy coach, zoo tickets. In my municipality, the municipality owns the zoo, so they can give away tickets for free, right? And you can put anything in there. And so you have a wallet with earmarked money on all kinds of different things. And there's a lot of requests for us to deliver this. This will be ready in January, I think. That is this is my last slide. So I think there are lots and lots of possibility of even today. This is built on Chrysalis. You can imagine what you can do on Shimmer, right? It will go a few steps beyond this. So I'm always saying to people, don't tell me the sky is the limit when there are footsteps on the moon. We're going to think of a lot more exciting things if you use your fantasy. If you have any questions, you can ask them now, or you could mail them to me. Thank you. Am I still within time?
Yeah, thank you very much, Adri. Thank you very much for coming and showing us these meaningful projects and demonstrate how we can use technology and IOTA in such really real-world projects, which creates a lot of benefit for people who are using that. So thanks a lot. So questions and answers now in a break. We will have a break now, 15 minutes, and then we come back and we talk about more interesting projects after the break.
Toll.
So, hallo zusammen, welcome back. Wir machen nun weiter. Es tut mir leid, wenn ich jetzt die schönen Unterhaltungen stören muss. Sorry to interrupt you guys, the chats, the talks, but we have still very interesting program going on. So please take seat again, come back now. After the presentations, we will have like get together and some drinks and food, and so we should use the time now. Yeah, thank you. Come back, please. We have really very interesting program points. So Aaron, where are you? Now we have a next program point. Aaron from Servrox will tell us anecdotes about IOTA. I'm sure you all will learn about those anecdotes and listen to them. Hey, great. Aaron,
Yeah.
here's your own
Yeah, I have
microphone.
a microphone.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, wait a second. Okay. Okay, test. Test, can you hear me? Perfect. Cool. So, yeah, thanks for coming. Okay, we're still waiting for the presentation. Okay, perfect. It works. Cool. Yeah, then thanks for coming. And before we get started with my talk, it's a little bit about anecdotes about IOTA. I just wanted to ask you, how many of you have a technical background? Okay, these are a few. How many are you of you are interested in like the investment side of IOTA? Also, yeah, okay, cool. Almost the same amount. And who else is interested in anything else? Now I must see all hands, come on. Why are you here otherwise? Yeah, maybe, yeah. Free food and drinks. No, cool. So yeah, my background, I'm a little bit, or I'm a software engineer, so I always also have a technical background. And yeah, today I want to share you my experiences with IOTA and developing with IOTA and with the projects we did so far. And yeah, I'm the co-founder of Servrox Solutions, and we're doing full service Web3 development. So we focused on IOTA, and to better understand what I'm talking about, here's a short summary. So we're a little bit older than 1 year. And first, we started with Web 2 projects. For all of you who don't know, Web 2 is like the basic internet you already know, like Facebook, Google, etc. And Web 3 is more of the decentralized internet. And yeah, we did normal platform things until end of last year. And then we decided we want to go full into IOTA. It's not that we started with IOTA development at that point, but we decided that we want to concentrate and focus totally on the IOTA technology. And that's what we're doing now. So basically, it's just 2 quick slides, and then we will go to the projects. So what we do is like Web3 strategy consulting. We're developing smart contracts, like NFTs, for example, with the ERC 1155 and 721 standard. Like we're helping other DAOs build their products, their apps, and of course, like doing tokens with real utility. We already had that before, or we heard that in the talk before. So yeah, we have utility tokens where we can help you with, and the integration of like the Web3 things you want to develop, like the smart contracts or the tokens, integrated into in your normal Web2 applications. So yeah, I said we, and I'm the co-founder, so who are we? We are Marcel and I. Marcel can't join today. He's also organizing this whole event, but he just got a little daughter today, this night, and so he can't join. Yeah. And yeah, together we both have many years of experience in software development, especially with infrastructure as code on AWS, background development with Node.js, Golang, and Kotlin, and the front-end development with Angular, React. And in the past, we've done most projects. We were planning and development of cloud projects in the enterprise and startup environment. So just as a short summary for all of those, for all of you who know like the technical or some kind of the technical background. Yeah, and this is the last slide about the company. So especially Marcel has been with IOTA for a long time. We can see here in 2017, there were the first commits, and yeah, we did. So commits is like if you write some code and you check it into a source control system, then you have a commit. And this, so he wrote the first source code in 2017, and yeah, the website is still online. It was like a small game, but yeah, it doesn't work anymore, so you don't have to look at it. Yeah, okay, so now I want to get started with the experiences we collected over the last year, I would say. Like it's a little bit longer, but yeah, especially the last year where we focused on IOTA. And yeah, back in the days, or like last year, we already did the first hackathon. It was like an internal hackathon, just both of us. And the goal was we wanted to prepare for
or we wanted to see what IOTA can do in the future, what it will be able to do. And yeah, this later became known as Stardust. So the result of the hackathon was a CLI wrapper for Shimmer and for the Shimmer native assets. And yeah, back then it was called Token Factory. So I don't know, many of you or some of you maybe know that in the Shimmer network you have like those native assets. You can create your own tokens. And for example, you can, if you have your own online game, for example, you can create your own tokens, your own currency only for this game. Based on, or on the Shimmer network. And yeah, back in the days, it was already possible on the Shimmer node. And yeah, with the CLI, and we created a wrapper to call this wrapper from the internet. So it was not a product or anything. It was just to get to know the technology a little bit deeper and to get into IOTA a little bit more. And we also had some learnings, like the documentation we saw was often outdated. So I mean, IOTA has came a long way. Like in 2016, 17, there were the how was it called? Trits and trites, like the ternary system instead of the binary system. So like you can also find documentation about that on the internet, even if it is not like what's currently happening in the IOTA world. So yeah, it was a little hard to understand what's really the current state and how to develop on this current state. And we also saw that there are many new possibilities coming with IOTA even before like Shimmer was released. And yeah, like the native assets, for example. So we saw that IOTA will become very powerful, and that's why we decided we want to dig deeper into it. Then, like a few months later, we did a second hackathon, and there we wanted to professionalize our development. So in the traditional development, like the Web 2 development, you usually have a little bit complicated maybe development process for people who don't know it. Like you have to write tests for your code so that you can ensure that it really works properly. And yeah, you can also do the same thing for example, smart contracts. And many projects don't do that. So many smart contract or Web3 projects are from people who learn to code themselves because they wanted to do something really cool in Web3 or create their own NFTs or anything. And yeah, this can lead to like security breaches and anything like that. So yeah, we saw that there's an issue, and we wanted not to be like those other developers, and we wanted to be like professionalize ourselves, or like use the knowledge we already had from the normal software development and bring it to the Web3 world. So we also set up a CI/CD integration pipeline. This means that if you do some changes to your source code, those tests are already automatically run. So every time you do some changes, the tests are run. And yeah, so your code is always tested. That's very important. And the continuous deployment part means that if you do some changes, it will be easily deployed to the production system. So yeah, for example, if you change something in the smart contract, you can easily deploy it to like different EVMs or blockchains like Ethereum, Avalanche. There are many things. And of course, the Shimmer node, because there was already a gRPC endpoint, so you could also use that one, and we did, and it worked. Yeah, and the learnings from the second hackathon were that there are a lot of good tools for professional development in the Web3 area, like Truffle, for example. So there are the tools to do professional software development in the Web3 world, but yeah, they're like used by many projects, by many big projects, but there are also a lot of people who don't use it and who are just like hacking anything and their projects, and then yeah, the outcome is not so high quality most of the time. Yes. So those were the hackathons we did, so that we got some insights into IOTA and into the current state of IOTA. And then the next point is we also started doing the Regulars table in Stuttgart back in the days, like at the start of the year. And yeah, so we started with the Regulars table in Stuttgart, the Stammtisch, for all of you who don't know. Yeah, and the Stammtisch, the goal was to learn more about the IOTA community and to connect with people and to learn more about their projects, what they're using IOTA for. And yeah, that's why we initiated this. And like what we learned is that there are many old-fashioned fans who have owned IOTA since the old days. So there were many people coming who owned IOTA since 2016, 2017. So it's a great community, and the community stays with this cryptocurrency, which is cool to see. And the next point is that the people's motivation to come to the Regulus table was very different. Like some were interested in the technology, some were interested in the investment opportunities, and others were interested in mining. That was pretty cool to see. There was a guy who came to us and asked that he told us that he has some mining farms in Eastern Europe and he wanted to mine IOTA. So we told him that, that would not be possible. And that was the last time we saw him at the Regulus table. That was quite fun. So what we also learned that the people's backgrounds are totally different. These are not only technical people coming to the Regulus table, but also like architects, car salesmen, like consultants, software engineers, designers, project managers, everything. With totally different motivations. So, okay, those were the things we did aside our real work, so to say. And we also did some own projects. So when I created this presentation, I noticed that a lot of those projects have something to do with NFTs. I don't know why. We didn't want to develop only NFTs kind of stuff, but a lot of our projects had to do something with NFTs. And the first project, so to say, was the result of the first hackathon we did, and it was like an NFT showcase. And back in the days, there was no Soonaverse. So there was no Soonaverse launched. IOTA and NFTs, that didn't work well together, and there haven't been any projects combining those. But we saw that it was already possible with the Go Shimmer node. You could create, with the CLI, you could create those native assets or native tokens, and there were the NFT types. So you could create an NFT on the Go Shimmer node. And we wrote this wrapper in the first hackathon, and the idea was to release an NFT showcase for the token factory based on Go Shimmer. So we don't want to release a real product. We only wanted to show what will be possible in the future with IOTA or with Shimmer now. And so this is like a screenshot or a GIF from the website we've built. Like you could enter your address or the transaction ID, the message ID, and then we did some fancy loading animation, and then the image was loaded, which was saved in the NFT. So unfortunately, we could not finish this project due to the lack of time because we had other Web2 projects we had to focus on. And right now we won't continue since Shimmer is already released and this doesn't make any sense to continue. Okay, so this is another, this was the viewer where you could see the images. So then we decided that we want to dive or focus on IOTA. That's why we said that we maybe can do an own NFT sale where we collect some money maybe so that we don't have to focus so much on those Web2 projects. And so the approach was that we wanted to create a custom layer 2 NFT drop. Layer 2 is not yet possible, but it may be in the near future, it will maybe possible. So we had the option that we choose Soonaverse, which was already present back then, or we could create our own page, our own selling website. And the decision was for our own page, and we already started the development. This was because Soonaverse back in the days was not what we in our mind or what fits to the word NFT, because NFT was something that the user could load into their MetaMask account, in our mind at least, or in our opinion, and who can see it on MetaMask, for example, or other wallets. And this was not possible with IOTA back then. So we thought that the way Soonaverse did it, it was like they collected the transaction, or they saved the transaction on the Tangle, and that's how they trace the ownership of those NFTs. And this is a valid way to do it, but that's not what we have seen as a real NFT, and that's why we decided we want to do our own thing. And that's why we decided we wanted to start to develop our own website. And here on the right-hand side, you can see this MetaMask mobile application where you have the NFT tab. This is, I don't know if it exists now on the browser plugin. Does anyone know? Back then, it existed only in the mobile version. So the NFT tab, and then we had our own. Those are Marcel's Schildkröte, and turtles, thanks. Those are Marcel's turtles, and yeah, so those were they were deployed on the Go Shimmer node with the Go Shimmer gRPC URL, and yeah, as you can see, it worked. Yeah, so then we clarified for ourselves we want to do like some kind of combination between L1 and L2 NFTs, if it's possible, and we want to bring some utility with those NFTs. We don't want to sell like fancy images or only fancy images, and we really want to provide some utility and give something back to the ecosystem, because that's what we do. We're software engineers. We really want to provide value to the ecosystem, to the users, to anything who like buys one of these. So like the utility, they are not released yet, so you can't buy one of these, and yeah, we're still working on it, and the utility is not fixed, so maybe this will change in the future. But yeah, like I said, we are a development-driven company, so we want to help other projects. And one use case, for example, could be that we help other projects, yeah, with what they are doing. Like, yeah, they can talk to us. They get like 1 consulting hour, I don't know, something like this, and we can help those other projects, or we want to help those other projects to get in touch with them, and that was one idea. The other idea was like we already have some code that works well with IOTA, and we can put this code on GitHub, for example, to support the open source community, that everyone can use this code. And yeah, the thing why we didn't have done it in the past is that it takes a lot of time, because you have to write documentation, you have to write tests for everything. Like releasing a project open source is not as easy. You have to maintain it, so if there are any bugs, you have to fix it. So this is a lot of time investment, and we didn't have the time in the past to do it. So this was a second thing we thought about, like we can release everything we have, or most of the things we have that are worthy to release, we can release it to the open source community. And yeah, the third point is like early access for upcoming features. Yeah, the upcoming features are not yet defined, but yeah, you will see if the NFTs will be released. And yeah, of course, every NFT project has to do some, or has to have some fancy GIFs with changing backgrounds, and we also did that. But yeah. Cool. So yeah, that were our own projects. Just I want to have a look at the time. Yeah, perfect. Okay, yeah, so now the community projects, where we've helped others with their projects, or where we've came in touch with other community projects. And yeah, it says from hip hop to the moon. So yeah, the first project we came in touch with was a hip hop NFT platform. So the idea was that hip hop artists could create their own songs, or could create their own NFTs from their songs. And this was a guy from the US who yeah, got in touch with us, and he already had his own website online, and there was this registration form where you can enter your data, and you can enter the URL of the song, and yeah, then the NFT will be created. And in the past, he did everything manually, so he got an email every time someone fills out this form and submits it, and yeah, he went to Remix. This is like the IDE, the developer environment, where you can like deploy or write smart contracts and deploy smart contracts. And he did deploy the smart contracts manually to like the BNB chain, to Avalanche. And yeah, this process was very complicated, time-consuming, and not automated at all. So yeah, we got in touch with him, and what we've built like is a process prototype where we've read the mail attachment. So if you trigger the form submit, he got an email with those data as a PDF file in the attachment. And what we've did was we've created software where we've read the attachment, generated the NFT metadata, and deployed the smart contract to one network, or to the specified network of the user. And then we returned the smart contract address of the NFT by mail to the creator. So that was the automated process, and it already worked. But in the end, there was no collaboration because we couldn't agree on how we want to work together further. So, but that was not a bad thing at all. So in the end, it became very scammy. So one of the first features after that he implemented was like gambling on his page. So we're not, we can be lucky, I think, that we're not connected to this project anymore. And he sells African land. I don't know if, that's kind of strange. I don't know. Yeah, okay, some of you may already know the Fans Together. Who knows the Fans Together? Oh, okay, those are many. So, yeah, we also work with the Fans Together, and the idea of this DAO is to help sport fans participate and get in touch with their club. So, what's currently done, or how it works currently, is that like the management of like a sports club or of a soccer club, for example, gets to decide which player to buy, which player to sell, and all the managerial decisions are made by a few people. And the idea behind the Fans Together is that they want to buy sport clubs and that they want to give back the option or the decisions to the sport fans. So like you can buy some tokens for your sports club, and then you can have a say in all the decisions that are made. And yeah, in the past they've used Sooniverse for voting, and in the future they want to release their own application where you can also do some kind of voting, for example, where they have their own tokenomics, and yeah, where the user can use the app to interact with their favorite sports club. And yeah, we're currently developing their app. So this is something we're currently doing, and another thing we're currently working with is Moonmorons. Who knows Moonmorons? Who has seen them? Okay. So yeah, this is Dennis's really recent project. We got in touch with Dennis, the man behind Moonmorons, and yeah, he has a really philosophical view, I would say, on this project, and it's more like of a fun project. It's not something really that provides real value. It's more of a fun project, and the idea is that the coin has a very shitty experience, but it does something great to the community. So he said to us that it's the contrary to like if you give some homeless man some money and then you take a selfie just to prove that you've did something great. This is the exact opposite. You're doing something great even if the process is very shitty and terrible. So what he imagined is like you can do it, send a transaction with those coins, but yeah, the transactions take very long time, and yeah, so there are other features planned. I can't tell you so much about it because we really got in touch with him 1 week ago, I guess. But yeah, we really want to do this project with him because we think it's a fun idea, and yeah. So, yeah, the pre-registration is open. We already finished the page, so you can pre-register yourself. This is the QR code, this is the domain. And yeah, you can log in with MetaMask, enter your email, and then you will get some, yeah, you will see what you get. Okay, cool. And the last project I want to introduce is Gnosis Multisig. So Gnosis Multisig is an EVM-based multi-signature wallet. So what does it mean? Like we all know most of us know Firefly, I hope so. And Firefly is a normal an apostrophe, a normal wallet where you can send transactions with or do transactions with, and a multi-signature wallet is a wallet where multiple parties, like multiple persons, need to agree on a transaction so that it happens. So multiple, like here at least 2 out of 3 people must agree or must have approved a transaction before it is really committed. So yeah, this is what Gnosis Multisig is, and it's EVM based. So we're waiting for Shimmer to implement the bridge between L1 and the Shimmer network, so that we can have those smart contracts, the EVM, running on Shimmer, and that we can really deploy the Gnosis Multisig or add Shimmer to the Gnosis Multisignature wallet. So this is a project that's already existing and available for many other EVM-based blockchains like Ethereum, for example, the BNB chain. And this is something where like it already has a great community or big community, and we want to even make the community even bigger by adding IOTA and Shimmer to the possible options. Yeah, okay, so I mean, that's it. So I just wanted to show you a little bit about the projects we did and about the experiences we had in the past developing those projects. And yeah, if you'd like, you can ask some questions later on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Really interesting projects. And Nice to learn more about projects from the IOTA community. I'm happy that Chris and Adam are here from the Touchpoint program. So where are you, Adam? Chris, please come here. So, yeah, so you are both working on the Touchpoint program, right? But before we go more into details about the Touchpoint program, so we will learn a little bit more about the projects and your work, you've been in Singapore, right, to attend the Shimmer Lounge. So maybe you tell us a little bit about it, because unfortunately we all, the great IOTA community, we couldn't go all there. So maybe you can tell us a little bit how it was, the experience, the location, and so about this atmosphere there. So I need to come closer.
Yeah, sure. I was going to have Chris lead off with this one, but so in short, the launch actually worked flawlessly pretty much. The whole time we were there, I was like, shit, what's going to break? And luckily nothing did. I had prepared myself for the embarrassment and the jumping through hoops. But we got extremely lucky. The crowd was great. We had Holger there. He was on the live view. I don't know if anybody tuned in on this to see him checking with me. In one of his videos, I'm standing in the back creepily with a beer the whole time and just kind of like staring. I didn't actually realize what he was doing, and just like, what is he doing on his phone? And then saw the live video later, which was interesting. But yeah, there was a lot of enthusiasm there. It felt, yeah, I don't know, electric. And it was, and actually a funny story is with the CEO of Bitforex, Jason. Bitforex is the first exchange to list Shimmer. We didn't actually even know that they were going to list it. I just met him that night, and he's like, hey, by the way, it's going to start trading in like an hour now. So I was like, oh, that's neat. And so we additionally to all the festivities had some prize action that night, so that was very fun. That's about, I think, all for specifically for the party I have to say. I don't know, Chris.
I think anything to add.
Yeah. I mean, it would be more interesting if something just blew up in our face, but nothing did. I don't know.
Yeah, but how many people attended the party? What do you think?
60, I think.
60? Yep. Ah, great. And how long was the party going on? In the morning or?
No comment.
Ah, no comment. Okay, okay. Great. Yeah, so, does this also mean that IOTA will be more present than in Asia in future, or why was it in Singapore?
So I think in Singapore it was really because we were there for Token 2049 to meet some kind of investors that also came into the assembly round, and then everybody essentially around the globe traveled there to meet there. So that's why we happened to be there, and then the launch lined up at that day too. That's why we were in Singapore, but I think Asia in general is pretty interesting. And when we were talking to people there, we realized that the reception is actually pretty positive about IOTA and now about Shimmer as well. So people are pretty excited. I also think there's no real big player right now that is kind of conquering Asia, right? You had Polkadot, now they're decreasing a bit, and then there's just no prevalent solution that just dominating Asia. So we have a couple of people there that strongly support us, IOTA and Shimmer, and there's, I think, a market opportunity. So I think we're definitely going to increase the presence. The question is if it's us directly or if it's just going to be with partners on the ground. So I think might be the more interesting approach to take, to just build out strong partnerships there. We have a couple of community projects there as well, TanglePay, the people working in the Tangle Rally as well, so IOTA be actually the first D-app that is live on Shimmer, right? So I think, yeah, those partners are actually good to increase the presence there.
Yeah, and you mentioned now the project TanglePay. So this is one project also which is onboarded on Touchpoint, right? Yeah, so maybe we can talk a little bit about Touchpoint, the program, the purpose. So what is behind Touchpoint? Why Touchpoint? What is the outcome or the benefits you are creating for the community?
Generally, I think really in summarizing it in one sentence, it's really there to support any kind of community project that wants to, I think, build something for Shimmer and then for IOTA too at a later point. It actually was born to really support smart contract projects, so people working on the apps kind of when assembly came about. And now it's natively supporting kind of people building for Shimmer because it's the first one that's actually going to go live. That's the purpose, and I think how we're trying to do this is by creating a program that's very flexible and very scalable, because hopefully it's, I think you know this best, right? Industry projects are very long, they take a long time to develop and they're very hands-on, but now with projects like TanglePay, ShimmerC, those are all kind of self-sufficient teams and they just need maybe support for some things, specific challenges they have. So what we try to do is kind of aggregate those challenges and then find solutions to those. For example, the Gnosis Multisig is something we heard from many community projects that that's absolutely necessary. So we try to find someone who can bring that to Shimmer. And same thing for auditing or for legal problems. So I think it's just trying to flexibly address challenges that come from the community.
Yeah, we also do like help them with their comms team or their funding stuff where they think, okay, I don't know how many pitch decks I've looked through with Touchpoint. I don't know, 20 or something like this. So a lot of times you'll have the projects are a couple developers who don't know the kind of the language of fundraising or don't know what VCs might be looking for or don't know how to do communications. And so we have, it's not just the Touchpoint team, which is, you have the concentric circles where it's me, Chris, Dan and Austin, sorry, me, Chris, Corey, Austin, and then Dan gets thrown in there, and then wider, the IOTA comms team's there, and then the UI UX product studio is there. So we have all these elements from the IF who come in and help the different projects to build out their vision. And really our only requirement is that they have the capability and they're motivated to actually build on IOTA and Shimmer and Assembly. So what is particularly good to see is that like you get to be kind of part of their experience where they grow. And for instance, TFT, the fans together, they're also part of Touchpoint. There might even be someone in this crowd who's part of a Touchpoint project or something. Hopefully you don't talk shit about us. But it's been really great to kind of accompany them especially as the Shimmer EVM kind of comes around the corner, and then we can kind of be a part as they enter the community and people are able to use these dApps and figure out that these teams are, I mean, there's some really quality teams there that are making the first cohort of apps that are going to define our ecosystem.
Are there any actual trends you can see in what kind of projects are coming to Touchpoint? And so is there anything you see that we can talk about?
Sure, I think generally the first wave that we saw was DeFi because it's just something that has to be there in every smart contract ecosystem. It's basically fundamental utility. So you need liquidity in the network, you need a place to swap your tokens. But what I actually find really cool is that it's, on the one hand, DeFi teams that try to stretch what's possible, right, and go beyond just forking something. And then it's also kind of a pretty wild mix of different projects, right? So you have the fans together who want to buy soccer teams and try to steer them. We have people who want to tokenize real-world assets in mining in Africa and try to solve some supply chain issues. You have people who want to revolutionize the way organizations are structured, right? So I think it's really a pretty wild mix. And probably DeFi and gaming are the ones that are most well established right now because it's the most straightforward for crypto use cases right now.
And what are the selection criteria when you get so many applications? How do you choose the projects? What is the focus? Do you have any focus right now so that you say you prefer social impact projects, or is there any specific?
I would say we don't have a criteria of what, for instance, we're not like, hey, we have too many dexes. We don't want any more dexes. That's not really how it goes. We just say, I guess like I said earlier, are you serious about building on us? Do you have a team? Do you have a vision? Is it, or are you just one person in their basement, or the one person we entertained who was just like laying in his bed and he had this crazy idea that he was bouncing off of, which is totally fine. But this is generally, we can't really do that much for that person. We can't really build them their team. They have to figure out, they have to convince other people to sell them on this idea and then bring them in, and then we kind of prod them along and help them, not necessarily prod, but help them along to realize what they're doing. So I don't think we structure it thematically. We just let people build what they want to build and then figure out where we can help them So, I mean, I think all of these things belong in the ecosystem, whether, like some of the things Christian said, whether it's a DEX or real-world assets or a yield aggregator or if it's like the traditional DGen DeFi stuff or it's gaming. We just onboarded like 3 people or two projects into gaming, I think yesterday or the day before. I think our only goal is that the ecosystem is as robust as possible and there's as much stuff to do there and there's enough utility being added to where when you have Shimmer IOTA tokens that you feel like you have options of what to do with them and that the ecosystem is populated by project teams who are serious and who don't seem so mercenary or something like that. They seem like they are IOTA believers and they have the shared vision that we also have.
And how many projects are now in Touchpoint?
I think it's around 40, 45 right now, especially projects. Then we have also a couple of expert groups that are there to consult on specific issues, and then a couple of investors as well, but mostly projects. I think 40, probably the ones that are more serious, more advanced.
All right, and when you would like to send one message out there to builders, why should they apply, and what can you offer in one sentence? One sentence is very short.
You have nothing to lose.
But I think it's it's that, and it's the easiest way to really get connected inside the IOTA and Shimmer ecosystem. So if there's a partnership that you could potentially make or strike in our ecosystem, it's highly likely that through Touchpoint you're going to get there pretty fast.
That's another thing that I don't think we've said that much that we do. It's a huge part of what we're doing at Touchpoint is actually connecting projects to other projects. Either they meet in the general channel and they'll just start talking to the side. So you have this kind of synergy of projects of all like the serious builders all in one space. A lot of them come straight to us and like, hey, can you hook me up with this project and make these introductions with them? And so now there's a bunch of partnerships when you see them on Twitter and they're like, you have whatever, this project and then the X and then this project. I think there's probably like a 70% chance that they probably met in Touchpoint and this is how they started talking. So out of all of this, there will for sure be some really solid dApps that come out of it.
Sounds great. Thank you so far. Are there any questions here in the audience? You have questions about Touchpoint, yeah?
My question is, you're developing on Shimmer, amongst other things. Do you think it is already stable enough to do that for the long run, or because I'm still a little bit afraid to do so? And yeah, what is your opinion on that?
So I think it depends on who you ask, right? First of all, we don't do any development ourselves. Unfortunately, I'm not an engineer. I think layer 1 definitely is stable enough. Layer 2, if you ask the smart contract team, they might say they would prefer to wait a bit longer. I think it's also running stable now in the testnet. So I think, especially in the crypto space, now is the time to get serious and get ready for launching your dApp. I think if you're looking for corporate use cases, you might just want to wait a bit longer and see how it plays out. But also keep in mind that Shimmer is actually exactly there for experimentation, right? So I think we always say if stuff breaks, it breaks, right? Which is a positive approach, I think, to things, a very optimistic one. But yeah, I think, yeah, get ready.
Yeah, but if I have a customer who wants to invest 5 million and distribute money, for instance, just an example, I can hardly say, well, there was this breaking change and we have to talk. I have a bad news experience for you. I cannot sell that, so to speak, right? So we're very apprehensive to make the leap into Shimmer.
Yeah, I think it doesn't need to, like customer projects probably don't need to be the first ones to be deployed in Shimmer. I think that's totally fine.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was really interesting. Thanks a lot. Yeah. We speak later here anyway, so yeah. So now, thanks a lot. So, before we come now to our last point in the program tonight with Charlie and Firefly, I just want to go a little bit here through the audience and want to ask you why you are here, and maybe you can introduce yourself, what you are doing, maybe you start. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Sebastian Weber, and I'm leading the DLT department from Acodis. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. So we're providing developers to, or even can develop whole projects on IOTA and offering that for companies. So we want to place as a system integrator. So because companies are really struggling to kind of, understand the technology, and we want to provide it.
Great. Perfect. Thank you. Hello.
Hi.
Who are you? What's your name?
My name is Dani.
Hello, Dani.
And I'm not a developer, but I'm just a fan, and I'm here to meet up with some other fans.
Okay, a fan. Very good. We know you.
Hey, hello. My name is Daniel, and I'm following IOTA since like 2 or 3 years. And I'm interested in the use cases of blockchain technology beside DeFi, and I'm here for the interesting projects and to see what's going on.
Great. Nice to have you here. So I come backstage here. Hello. Hi. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Tim. I'm working in the European Parliament, so entirely out of the sphere. But I'm following IOTA since the very early days. And yeah, I'm just here to see a bit the community and to get to know it, because only online is not so nice.
Yeah. Great. So therefore, I think it's great that we all connect and introduce a little bit here the community people. Hello.
Hello, I'm Anna, and I'm Bosti's Freundin. So I'm just supporting Bosti, and he's he's doing the Sprachchat every Thursday on Telegram. Yeah. So I'm
Tangle Gang, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah. Great. He's not here, right?
Just er ist geflüchtet.
Ah, okay. Wow. Why? Oh. Okay, it doesn't matter. Hello.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm also a fan of IOTA and IOTA Foundation. I've also worked by IOTA Foundation a while ago, and just wanted to know what's going on now. Yeah.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi. Mostly known by SK or IOTA Fangirl. Here to meet all my friends and all the other IOTA Maroons that I know, and happy to see all people in real life.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now let's go and listen to Charlie. And great to have you here, Charlie, that you came over.
Thank you for having me, Regine. Thank you, all of Berlin, all of you guys coming up to turn out. So yeah, my name's Charlie. I'm the Director of Engineering for Wallets at the IOTA Foundation. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about Firefly, what we've achieved so far, a little bit about our vision, what we're currently working on, and then our plans for the coming months and for the future. So first things first, what is Firefly? So Firefly is the official wallet for IOTA and Shimmer. And as I'm sure all of you know around here, a wallet is a way to manage your private keys, which enables you to sign transactions, generate addresses, and send and receive tokens. In Firefly's case, we're a non-custodial wallet. And what this means is that you, the end user, have full control and custody of your funds. And these sorts of wallets are particularly important. They form the first entry point that most users have into a given cryptocurrency's ecosystem. And so this is kind of why we often refer to Firefly as the entry point to the IOTA ecosystem. It's the first thing people use. It needs to be something that people trust. It needs to be secure, and it needs to do what they want to do. And with Firefly, we're trying to build something more. So I think the cryptocurrency space, whether fortunately or unfortunately, there's a relatively low bar for wallets. Like I think it's not too difficult to be one of the better or the best wallets in the space. And
we sort of have a vision for the future of Firefly where it will become a command center for the IOTA and Shimmer universes. So doing absolutely everything you need from a wallet. So generally in the space you have two directions the wallets go. You have wallets as a platform and you have wallets as a tool. And the first one is a self-contained ecosystem of dApps. So a good example of this is Argent within the Ethereum ecosystem, which is a mobile app. And what Argent allows you to do is very different things in Web3. You can participate in staking pools with things like Uniswap and Aave and Yearn and all of these sorts of providers. You can directly purchase and sell NFTs through OpenSea within the wallet. But essentially everything is self-contained within the app itself. So you never actually have to leave the confines of the app. You do everything within that application. And then you have the second genre or form of wallet, which is a tool, and a tool to interact with external dApps within the Web3 space. And in this case, a good example is MetaMask. And MetaMask is a browser extension and a mobile app within the Ethereum ecosystem again. And what you notice is MetaMask has a relatively simple and limited feature set. You can buy, you can send, you can swap. But where MetaMask really comes into its own is when, in the way that it works, it injects an API into external dApps in the browser, and those dApps can call upon MetaMask to sign smart contract transactions. And in this way, you essentially have a tool to interact beyond the wallet and with dApps within the browser. So with Firefly, we actually want to do both. We want to be both a platform and a tool. This really details the vision we have for Firefly, and why not just a platform, you might ask. Why can't we keep everything self-contained within one app? Why do we have to have multiple different apps? And the reason for this is if you have one self-contained platform, it really limits the ecosystem growth within IOTA. Within Firefly, we would have somewhat of a monopoly in terms of dApp integrations, and we would pick and choose which dApps actually get integrated into Firefly. And if we wanted to support the full range of innovation within the IOTA ecosystem, we would end up with a very bloated app, something akin to a super app, which I think generally have not been so successful within the Western world. And then you might ask, why not just a tool? Why can't we keep Firefly's feature set very narrow? Why can't it just do core wallet functionalities, sending transactions, receiving transactions? And the reason for this is that generally, non-technical users are not used to a fragmented dApp ecosystem. They're used to everything being self-contained within a mobile or a desktop app, and they're used to having their sort of core functionalities available to them from the get-go. And if we do have a fragmented dApp ecosystem where the core functionalities are not available to the user within the app, then it creates a steep learning curve. And if you think about these sorts of users, the next big wave of crypto adoption, they're going to really struggle with that, and they're not going to be able to get on board with IOTA and the IOTA ecosystem if they don't have those core sorts of dApps available to them. So the general vision for Firefly is this one product suite that can do it all. You have both the core dApps for all of your different core crypto activities, things like buying and selling tokens, swapping tokens for other tokens, participating in governance decisions, managing your NFT portfolio, et cetera, and in addition to that, we also want to have this seamless interaction with apps beyond Firefly. So being able to interact with apps, the apps within the browser, beyond the application itself. So that's a little bit about the vision for Firefly, and maybe we can talk about what we've done to get to this stage. So in 2021, we had the Chrysalis upgrade on IOTA, where Firefly was launched, and we deprecated the old Trinity wallet. This represented a complete re-architecture of the application. It was built from the ground up as a new app, and it introduced two key Rust libraries. You have Stronghold and the wallet library in Rust, and they give us a great performance and great security. And at the same time, you have a front end in Svelte, which has allowed us to create a very beautiful UI and aesthetically pleasing interactions and that sort of stuff. And really the focus at this point was to have just the core wallet functionality, make sure that sending, receiving, managing tokens, all of these sorts of things were completely robust and as good as you can really get. And then we ensured that we had a modular UI and UX so that we were aware we had all sorts of plans for the future, and we wanted to create a system that could be expanded from there on. Then we had the staking events on IOTA a little bit later. And back in early 2022, we had the first Shimmer and Assembly staking events where you could use your IOTA tokens and start earning staking rewards for these future networks, Assembly and Shimmer. And you could call this staking feature liquid, so you didn't have to lock up your tokens indefinitely for the full period. You could unstake them, stake them, you were free to do what you wanted with them. And the Shimmer staking event has now ended a while ago, and obviously with the Shimmer launch, people have been able to start claiming their tokens, and the Assembly staking events are still ongoing. Then we introduced the IOTA governance framework. So we added support for people to participate in governance decisions within the IOTA ecosystem directly within Firefly. And to date, we've had two very key votes within the IOTA ecosystem, the first of which was the community treasury vote, where community members were voting on the future of a chunk of unclaimed tokens from ICO and from protocol upgrades thereafter. The second of which was the Shimmer supply increase, which increased the Shimmer supply and gave funds to the Tangle Ecosystem Association to then invest and grow the IOTA ecosystem. And so those are the two first governance decisions we've had within the IOTA ecosystem. I'm sure many of you participated in those. But essentially this was just an MVP. So the real drawback of this functionality was that we'd have to release a new Firefly version for every single vote, which is obviously limiting for obvious reasons. Then we had the Firefly mobile release. So this was fairly recent actually, and this was the first iteration of Firefly Mobile, the official IOTA wallet. And the idea here was just to match the core functionality of the desktop app. So all of your sort of standard wallet functionalities, sending tokens, receiving tokens, managing tokens, all of this sort of stuff. I would say, and I think community's aware of this, it took a little bit longer than we would have liked, but generally this is because there have been other higher priority features that have come along during that time frame that we've had to work on. We had the extensive Stardust protocol that we needed to develop and support at launch. And I guess the reality is that the team's not quite big enough to realize our full ambitions. So that gives you a little bit of an overview of what's happened until today, and now we get on to what we're currently working on. So a little over a week ago, we had the Firefly Shimmer launch and the Shimmer network launch itself. This is essentially the largest protocol upgrade in IOTA's history in some regards. It brings new utility to IOTA that previously was never there, and we're seeing all sorts of interesting features within the ecosystem being used by different teams. And from Firefly's point of view, we needed to release an app that would allow people to claim their Shimmer staking rewards from those previous staking periods that I mentioned earlier. And not just that, but introducing a host of new features. So you have things like native tokens, you can mint custom tokens within the wallet now for various different use cases. You can send microtransactions, so amounts smaller than 1 Shimmer. It's what we call Glow. We have expiration times, which have some nice properties, and various other features were introduced with Shimmer launch. And this was no small feat. So this represented a complete, well not complete, but a fairly substantial re-architecture of the Firefly app. And you can see from some of the stats here just how extensive it was. You had 400 pull requests, 481 closed issues, 71,000 code lines added, 64,000 deleted, 1,545 files changed. It was a substantial change to get to this point, but now that we're here, we can then begin this next period of expanding the Firefly usability and really kickstart the IOTA ecosystem. So, what are we working on now? Working on a few different things. Essentially extending the layer 1 support. So focusing on the core functionality of layer 1 and making sure that it has comprehensive support, so every single given use case can actually function through Firefly. And the first of those is sending layer 1 assets to an address on a layer 2 chain. So this is something that's going to be ready for the Shimmer EVM launch, which is expected in the not so distant future. You can see in Firefly on the right-hand side what this might look like. You enter your chain ID, so in Shimmer with layer 2 chains, you'll be able to spin up different smart contract chains for different purposes. If one gets saturated, you create a second smart contract chain. You have a nice bridgeless structure where you can send assets between the different smart contract chains. So this is slightly rudimentary system just to give basic support. So you enter a chain ID, you enter the EVM address that you're transferring your layer 1 asset to, and Firefly will wrap the asset for you on layer 2. So you'll send NFTs, native tokens, regular Shimmer tokens, and those will be wrapped as assets on layer 2. And then the second thing we're working on as well is basic support for NFTs. So in Firefly at the moment, if you receive an NFT, you won't see it. But what we'll be adding is a very, again, fairly rudimentary, simple system for sending and receiving NFTs. So you receive them into your wallet, you can send them to other people, you can view your activity log and see them. No images or anything just yet, but just to get support as quickly as possible after Shimmer launch. So the community teams that are working on NFTs can, again, use Firefly. And then that will be extended in a phase 2. So then we have full NFT management with the collectibles tab and gallery. So this would be really where NFTs come to their fore within Firefly. And then we have the dynamic governance feature. So I mentioned earlier that the governance feature we had in Firefly until now was somewhat of an MVP. And this dynamic governance feature will essentially allow community members to host their own votes within Firefly and browse votes and search votes and all of that sort of stuff. So it really enables the IOTA ecosystem to participate in those sorts of governance decisions. So this is a mock-up of the NFT tab. Sort of what you'd expect. You have some of the IOTA community NFT projects, Creamies, Loomies, IOTA Bots, Magic Voodoo Dolls, IOTA Apes, IOTA Holics, IOTA Whales, and Castles of Gaia. Nice selection here, and the feature will, the tab will give you everything you really need for managing an NFT portfolio, viewing your NFTs, sending them around, having various different features. See on the next slide that you have a lovely IOTA bot, and you can see the various different properties for that. You can do certain activities, you can view it on the Explorer, you can send it around, you can burn it if you would like to do that for some strange reason, or you could set it as your Firefly profile picture. And that is sort of where the collectibles tab will start, and then gradually over time we'll expand it as the IOTA NFT ecosystem grows, as the crypto community ecosystem for NFTs grows, and whatever is the most salient use case we'll add. And you know, there are certain things within the IOTA protocol that are fairly unique, things like NFTs owning tokens, things like NFTs owning other NFTs. There's lots of interesting use cases you might do with that, and so we'll just sort of play it by ear and gradually develop this feature as time goes on. Then we have mock-ups for the new dynamic voting feature. So you will be able to browse and search for different proposals within the IOTA ecosystem. And essentially what Firefly is doing is pulling all of these different proposals in from the nodes. So if you're like a DAO or a community project that needs to do a vote within your ecosystem, you would publish it to a node, people would connect that node in Firefly, or you know, speak to the IOTA Foundation, get it published on the official nodes, or you know, possibly even get your node listed in Firefly if that makes sense as well. And then community members will be able to search through and browse through different votes and participate them in just the same way as the existing governance feature work, you know, looking up your tokens for a duration of a period, and that will assign a certain level of voting weight to that given governance decision. And then as part of this, we'll also be expanding what you can actually do with any given proposal. So most governance decisions are not as simple as like a yes or no question. You can't solve them just by asking one question. You might need multiple different questions to resolve that given problem. So in this case, you have 4 different questions, and you're essentially parallelizing the decisions so you're not wasting time. People can vote, see them all self-contained within the given proposal, and understand how they all interrelate. So this is sort of really expanding the governance feature and allowing the community to take part in governance decisions. So now we talk a little bit about the future, what's planned for the coming months and thereafter. So one thing that I mentioned is that the current IOTA mobile app only supports Chrysalis and IOTA Mainnet, and work has already begun on porting this to Stardust and supporting Shimmer. So the mobile team has got going with this. And on the right, you can see what this might look like. So you can see your various different native tokens and NFTs and all of that sort of stuff. And another thing we're also looking at is moving away from the Electron framework on desktop to something called Tauri. And Tauri is an application runtime built by the same guys who did Stronghold. It's built in Rust, and it gives some really nice properties, like a much smaller memory footprint. It gives a much smaller app size. And so we're looking and considering how this might be possible, and they also have support for mobile in alpha or beta, and we're looking at how we might migrate the mobile app too. And then after that, we have full layer 2 support. So as I mentioned already, we have layer 1 to layer 2 asset transfers coming in Firefly. There'll be this interim period where people use MetaMask or Tangle Pay or similar things to interact with EVM on Shimmer and later IOTA. But obviously in Firefly, we want to provide a comprehensive layer 2 asset management platform for users of Firefly. And so this extends to just simply managing layer 2 assets, things like ERC20 tokens, ERC721 NFTs, ERC1155 NFT and ERC20 hybrids. And then extended support for things like wrapping layer 1 assets on layer 2, unwrapping layer 2 assets to layer 1, and then also what I mentioned in this sort of this dichotomy between wallets as a platform and wallets as a tool, the first sort of initial buds of Firefly becoming a tool to interact with the wider ecosystem. And I think this will start as something fairly simple. You'll have something similar to the deep linking system Firefly at the moment, where you'll click a link on a DApp on the browser. This will open Firefly, you validate your transaction, you sign it, etc. And gradually we'll be enhancing these features as we go on. So I feel like generally what you realize is our intention is to support the IoT ecosystem, get basic functionality there, and then gradually perfect it over time. So we're not inhibiting any given use case per se. And then I think you'll have realized by now that we have a rather extensive backlog of items. We have a lot of ideas that we would love to be working on right now. And here is just a list of them. Like, this is just a subset of what we have planned. And crazy how much we do have to work on, really. And some of those include buying and selling tokens with a fiat on-ramp, with credit card, bank transfer, debit card, that sort of stuff. You have DEX integration, so you can swap tokens for other tokens. DEX aggregation, where you're finding the optimal cost-effective path for purchasing or swapping one token for another across various different DEXs. You have integration with the token registry, which would give you verification of given assets in Firefly, so you know which ones you can trust, which ones have a community sort of assurances around them. Price providers for native tokens. We've already seen some native tokens in the ecosystem getting listed. Sooniverse's token has already been listed on exchanges. We want to pull in prices for those and not just for Shimmer and IOTA. Then you have a creator suite for creating and managing aliases, native token foundries, NFT collections. That would be very useful for developers and artists. A Firefly web companion browser extension to really augment the experience of transacting on layer 2 with Firefly in the desktop app. So you have this sort of seamless interaction where the browser extension operates as a relay between the browser and DApps and Firefly. And then you have the IOTA name service and contact book, which would be a point where we have human-readable addresses on IOTA, which would really simplify the transaction process between different parties. But yeah, we have a hell of a lot to do, essentially. And this brings me nicely onto the last slide, the plans for the coming future. So something that's already been announced somewhat within the community. There was a post about it. There are other projects within the IOTA Foundation doing the same, but essentially Firefly will spin out of the IOTA Foundation over the coming months and form its own for-profit entity. And the whole Firefly team is going to come along with us and be a part of this new journey. And the main reason for this is essentially we need more resources. So you can see the extent of features and roadmap that we have planned, and if we really want to elevate IOTA and have the level of user experience that we have in Firefly at present across every single use case, we need to expand our team. We need to hire more people, hire more developers, expand and grow. And so if we really want to realize this vision of a platform and tool, this entry point to the IOTA ecosystem that will form the next generation of crypto wallet, we need funding. And the way we're going to do this is just a traditional venture capital raise. So private seed funding through venture capital. And in terms of timelines, we've actually already started this process. So we've kicked off this process internally within the IF, and I suspect that the actual excavation will happen sometime early in the new year. So hopefully that gives you all a nice overview of what we've been doing with Firefly, what we have planned for Firefly. I hope you're all as excited as we are for all of these features in the future, and if there is time for questions, I can field some and happy to answer them. And of course, we're going to be here for the whole weekend, so if you have anything you want to talk about, if you're an ecosystem project, you want to talk about Firefly or what you're doing, then just come find me and we can chat. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Charlie, for the impressive presentation. And I think, my opinion, Firefly is one of the best, maybe the best wallet out in the market. And I think a really good example for great UX experience, user experience. And we need more user experience in crypto, then the adoption would be faster, of course. So thank you very much for that. So, before we now continue or end our program, I have one question. Please, could you fill out the form there that you agree on video recording? And for those who just filled out the form, please also do the opt-in Häkchen setzen. A lot of you forgot to put it in there, so please go there and add it. That would be great. And and now, Felix, want to say something?
We have a nice surprise for the community who've attended this meetup.
Maybe you can.
You go for it, Felix.
Ich mache erstmal auf Deutsch weiter. Und zwar möchte ich erstmal mich bedanken bei Regine, dass sie so durch den Abend geführt hat. Und vielen Dank an Porsche Digital und Servrox, dass sie das hier alles ermöglicht haben und uns tatkräftig unterstützt haben. Und natürlich auch danke an euch alle, dass ihr so zahlreich erschienen seid, aus ganz Deutschland eigentlich und ich glaube sogar darüber hinaus.
I have no idea what you're saying.
Genau. Vielen Dank dafür. Achso, und
bevor wir jetzt noch Schluss machen, Event für morgen, übermorgen, Programm.
Genau. Ja, wir haben noch eine Menge geplant für morgen. Und zwar morgen um 12 haben wir hier nochmal 2 Workshops. Einmal den Smart Contract Workshop mit Sebastian Häuser, steht da hinten. Und dann haben wir noch den Touchpoint Workshop mit Adam und Chris. Da hinten. Und ja, morgen Abend dann um 18 Uhr den großen Stammtisch im Hofbräuhaus am Alexanderplatz. Ja, für Sonntag dann noch das Streaming-Event. Da läuft dann alles online über YouTube und genau. Ich glaube, jetzt haben wir...
Nearly, ja, fast. Bitte alle noch bleiben, weil jetzt geht es dann gleich weiter noch mit Drinks and Food und so weiter, aber... Also der wichtigste Part des Abends quasi kommt noch jetzt. Aber bevor wir dazu übergehen, noch eine Surprise for the community.
Sure. So I believe that a nice surprise of an NFT for all of the attendants of the meetup has been prepared for you guys. So I'm not sure the full details of how you claim them. Okay. So how will people claim them who have attended the meetup?
Everyone will get a little card from us with a code on it, and with this code you can soon claim it on Sooniverse. We will inform you on social media. And yeah, I think a few days, and then we are ready to go.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So. The Buffet ist eröffnet.